All right, when life gives you four yogis meeting at the same fork in the road, sort of like the four prongs of a fork. Wait a minute, do all forks have four prongs? Oh man, I should have done my research before I hit play. Anyway, when that happens, that is an epic completion. 90% of the time. The other 50% of the time, it could just be my mental state. That I've got some mental issues. But I do believe I have an epic, absolutely epic 4 yogi card completion that has been in the works for 4 years. And here's what's crazy. Each of the 4 cards was bought in a December, just in time for Christmas. I don't know how it lined up that way, but it did. Let's see. But before we go there, something I want to talk about. So we will probably move in the next, year or two. I'm hoping maybe in the next less than a year. And we're empty nesters now. So I've got a couple rooms at home that I could turn into a card room or a man cave or whatever. But I'm just not feeling it. I'd rather move first. And so after we move, my plan is to create this glorious card room. And I think it's going to be the type of card room that when people see it, they'll either love it or hate it. Or they'll say, what the hell is this, man? But I'm thinking maybe some antique type, what do you call them? Like, I guess it could be an armoire or, it could be a bookshelf, but some antique type shelves all around with glorious cards displayed. I do have just one display case. I may not use it at all. I may go totally away from display cases. Now, is this the most efficient way to get more cards on wall space? No, but I'm not looking for the most efficient way. So I'm pretty stoked. Yeah, there's a local collector, Darren. He's gonna have me over at some point. I know he's been mentioning that, but he's putting together an epic card room. He's not making YouTube content yet. Maybe he'll change his mind. We'll see, Darren. We're waiting, man. We are waiting. So, a 4 yogi completion, 4 years in the making. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that I was going to make this video not before I got the cards, but after. Actually, you know what? I did make this video before. I just thought of this. I made it last night, and I made a silent video. It was just the Christmas music from my Christmas lamp, and it was like a 4-minute long video. A couple people saw it, and then I just deleted it because I realized I am not a man of few words. That video had no words, and people, they want to hear my commentary, or they don't want to hear my commentary, which is why they avoid this channel, or they want to hear my commentary. And I appreciate you. I appreciate anyone that, wants to hear my commentary. I am humbled. I am honored. Without further ado, let's do it. All right. This journey started in December of 2020, 4 years ago. I believe it was a buy it now on eBay, $65, and I was in love. I love cards that are black and white photos that have been turned into this colorful art, like 51 Bowman, like 50 Bowman, like 51 Bowman, like 52 Bowman, like 53 Topps. To me, those cards, they are just this glorious, absolutely glorious vintage art. And so the Red Man tobacco cards, they were produced in 1952, 1953, 1954, and 1955, just those 4 years. And they generally had 25 players from the National League, 25 from the American League. I think that's what they always had. And then maybe a couple managers in some of the years. So these sets are chock full of stars and Hall of Famers. And here's the thing. See that tab on bottom? You had to cut off 50 of those to send in for the baseball cap or whatever the giveaway was. So your dad would have to spend $10 on tobacco at, 20 cents a pouch in order for you to get the baseball cap or whatever the giveaway was that year. So these are scarce with tab. And I'm a tab snob. I got to have the tabs. So I had this goal. Well, first I was just so happy to have one. I had this goal of getting all 4, but I wasn't even sure if there were 4 because it turns out there are only 9 players that have a Redman card for all 4 years. Yogi is one of them, and I have just completed all 4 of the Yogi Redman cards. So yeah, let's look at a card here. December 2020, $65 plus $72 shipping. I'm just joking. I don't know how much the shipping was, but it was probably like $5. But it could have been free. I don't remember. In a Vintage Glory 3. And if this isn't Vintage Glory, I don't know what is. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Wow, wow, wow. A glorious Yogi in a sea of yellow. I mean, this card, I was just, like a kid in a candy store. I was like, man, I can't believe the whole world. I can't believe the whole world isn't, trying to get these. And then also in December of 2020, believe it or not, there's only, 4 Yogis. And December of 2020, I had this first prong on the Yogi Redman fork. And I forked over $76. This might have been an auction, but I don't remember. Also, December 2020, 4 years ago, forked over my $76 in an exceptional Vintage Glory 4, got the 1954. Now you can see this has got a little bit of corner wear, but you know what? Still, absolute Vintage Glory, exceptional Vintage Glory. Here's something else. I bought this card also later on in a high grade. I think it was like a 7 or somewhere in there. I mean, it wasn't higher than a 7. Could have been a 6, but I think it was even a 7 maybe. For more money, like $250 or something. But the registration was off on his face, and I had a return privilege, so I returned it, and I realized I like this one better, even with the corner wear, because the registration is spot on. And that was kind of, an epiphany for me as I was struggling with being able to handle some wear and some issues on cards. I realized, hey, that registration means a lot more to me than corner wear. Now, that might be just kind of obvious to, a lot of collectors, but I was kind of finding my way and learning how to make my peace with wear. And now I see wear. I mean, there's somewhere I like and somewhere that I beware of, but I see it as, kind of adding, in many cases, to the nostalgic appeal. Yeah, sometimes I see it as, that's not, I don't care for the look of certain cards because they have issues. But in other cases like this, I think it just adds to the nostalgic appeal. So 4 years ago, look at that glorious green. In an exceptional Vintage Glory 4, I picked up my second glorious Redman Yogi with tab. And then a year passes, a full year, and we get to December of 2021, and I've had my eyes out for either the 52 Redman Yogi Berra graded with tab or the 55, the two that I did not have. And, after spending $65 on the 1953 and $76 on the 1954 that you're looking at, I was, kind of liking those prices. But I just wasn't seeing any at those prices. And finally, in December of 2021, two 1952 Redman Tobacco Yogi Berras came up, and those seem to be the toughest ones. And I think, some solid buy it now prices, some good buy it now prices. And I was so stoked, I just instantly bought them both. And here's one of them. So 1 year later, December 2021, for $135, roughly around twice what I was paying for the others. Oh man, Also in an exceptional vintage glory 4. I mean, what about that color? I mean, to me, this color just knocks my socks off. If this is not the definition of vintage glory, I don't know what is. We're talking 1952. I mean, that's a big year for cards with the 1952 Topps. But you know what? It wasn't just 52 Topps making its debut. It was Redman crashing onto the scene. So the third prong in the Yogi fork right here with the glorious green on back. And so I bought 2 of those. And so happy I did. So what happened to the other one? Well, here's the deal. The deal is that I enjoyed having both of them for quite some time. And I thought, maybe I should give one away. I don't really need 2. And they were both really nice. I think the other was maybe 4.5. Both really, really nice. And I was like, I should sell, give that away, trade. And I was like, no, I love these cards. And I was like, Adam, you can't really look at both of them at once. And then I realized, oh, yes, I can. Look at this. We can look at 2 Yogis at once. So, yeah, I can look at, heck, I could look at 10 of them at once. Absolutely. I could look at 100 of them at once. So, I just didn't want to give it up because I love this card so much. And, I finally said, I'm going to send it to my friend Dylan Double D. And I tell you what, he made a video and his reaction when he got it was so authentic, which, I mean, that I expected. Dylan's authentic, but so really touched me, really moved me. And I have never regretted it. I am so stoked. Now, if that's the only one I had, you darn right I'd be regretting it. I'd be wanting one. But, having the 2 of them, giving one to a good friend, and, becoming his clubby in that regard, and seeing how much he has enjoyed it, I have never regretted it. When you've got, 2 Yogis at a fork in the road, take one of them and give the other to a friend. All right, we are on to the 4th prong in this 4-pronged Yogi video. 2 years later, December of 2024, the very month we are in, I acquire the 4th Yogi in these 4 Yogi Men of Christmas, 4 Redman Yogis of Christmas. And this one I spent quite a bit more for. The 1955, and I don't know why, but I thought 1955 would be the easiest, but it kind of ended up being the hardest, at least in terms of finding one that wasn't, crazy expensive. And so, December 1st is when I pulled the trigger on this bad boy, got it at auction, and it just got here yesterday. And I tell you what, I think I may have mentioned in my last video that this 1955 Yogi Redman went through eBay authenticity guarantee, but it did not. It just felt like it did because it took so long to get to me. I mean, I live in Oregon. It went to ultimately northern Washington. It went, to California, bounced around. Finally, they took the average, sent it to Oregon. It finally got to me without further ado. Number 4 from 2024, 200 blah, and $21 at auction. That's a total of $497, under $500 for these 4 Yogis. Ho ho! Wait a minute. EX, exceptional. Damn it, PSA forgot to put the vintage glory on there. It just says exceptional anyway, whether they put it or not, this is exceptional vintage glory. Look at this. You had the yellow from 53. This is the orange from 55. Now, by the way, notice his cap's cut off a little bit. I was looking for one where that's not the case, but I discovered over the years that is almost always the case. So I was like, okay, I guess that's just pretty much how they come. So, I was super stoked to get this one. The 1955 Redman, and oh, is it a beauty. It's funny how my thoughts have changed. 5 used to be kind of a low grade before I got into vintage. Now to me, 5 is like the new 10. 5's like, 5 is like this super high splurge grade. Oh, it's got red on the back. Yeah. I want to show you something that's kind of cool. Notice they all have a a solid background except the 54. I guess they decided to change it up. I guess that's maybe the on deck circle there. I wanted to show you how. Let's go back to 1952, shall we? Oh man, look at that. You know what? You got to have this in your collection. Everybody should have this, and their mother, and their father, and their grandmother, and their poodle. Everyone should have one of these. I'm going to double down on that. I'm going to, quadruple down. That's good. Quadruple down on that. Look at this. Yogi, 5'8", 183 pounds. That was in 1952. But then we get to 1953, and I noticed Yogi's gained a couple pounds. Well, that makes sense, But he's lost a half inch. He got a little shorter, 5'7.5". He's still batting left and throwing right. He was still born in St. Louis. That didn't change, but he's lost a half inch now. All right, let's go to 54. He gained his half inch back. And he lost a couple pounds, so he's back to his 52 weight. Still batting left, throwing right. And then 1955, he loses his half inch again. He gets shorter again, but he gains 11 pounds. So, man, I tell you what, I think being a catcher, is tough. Being a catcher, really can take a toll on you, kind of, messing with his height. All right. Well, hey, I'm going to have some music here. And at the end of the music, I will actually show all four together if you want to stick around. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for sharing in my joy. Man, I am so stoked about this completion. 4 years in the making. Why didn't it happen sooner? Well, it was waiting for the right card. It was also probably maybe the right card came along at some point, but I didn't have the money, so I guess that means it wasn't the right card, or I had bought something else, who knows, but finally got there. And I just think this is an absolutely vintage, glorious completion. As I said, thank you so much for sharing in my joy. I hope you had a wonderful and peaceful time in the Vintage Sanctuary. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, my collecting brothers and sisters. Oh man, Is that the definition of vintage glory or what? We spare no expense here at the Vintage Sanctuary to bring you the utmost in mediocre production quality. But I tell you what, the quality of the cards is par excellence. The 4 prongs of the Yogi Redman completion. That's 90% of the battle right there. The other 50% is mental. I can't close the video with that silly. Look at these. Exceptional vintage greatness. Vintage greatness. Still exceptional. Exceptional vintage greatness. I wish they'd have made this a 4 or a 3, but they made it a 5. It's still exceptional vintage greatness. Just let these yogis take a little spin. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.